Hello, my name's David Choi, and today's video is titled, Does Bitcoin Represent Individual Financial Sovereignty? So, I like to start with the story of Prisa Ahmadi. Um, Ahmadi was a top student from Herat, Afghanistan. Despite resistance from her family and conservative social norms, she enrolled in private classes that taught internet and social media skills. This school even offered to pay for her tuition. Ahmadi eventually found herself working as a blogger for a New York-based startup called the Film Annex in 2013. This was the first income she earned. So, you see, in Afghanistan, women have very little rights. And they have very little rights when it comes to their finances. They aren't allowed to open up bank accounts. Any money that they earn is usually held by their father or brother or husband. So Francesco Rulli, the New York-based founder of the Film Annex, made the decision to pay their bloggers in Bitcoin instead of traditional cash. This matters for these Afghan women employees because they couldn't open up bank accounts, and their cash would ultimately be confiscated or controlled by family members. Bitcoin was a solution for this. So you see, Bitcoin can be stored in what is called a digital wallet. It can be set up by anyone with internet access. You don't have to visit a physical bank branch, nor do you have to prove you are a man, in the case of societies like Afghanistan. Bitcoin doesn't know your name or gender. And so Ahmadi received her Bitcoin via her own digital wallet. She self-custodied her Bitcoin with her digital wallet. And so she used her Bitcoin to buy a new laptop. She credits Bitcoin with, I quote, teaching us how to be independent and how to decide by our own. And best of all, how to stand on our own feet. I see myself as an educated and active female doctor in the future, she said. So Ahmadi was able to envision a future where she wasn't chained down to the restrictions of a patriarchal society. She saw a future where she was in control. And stories like this barely make headlines when it comes to Bitcoin. In the news, you often hear about how volatile Bitcoin is, or the rallies and the downward spirals of Bitcoin's price movement, how Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. But the story of Prisa Ahmadi is amazing because it illuminates how Bitcoin is ushering in a new era of financial sovereignty. Bitcoin supersedes cultural limitations. Bitcoin doesn't require individuals to rely on a central banking system. And the technology of Bitcoin is truly revolutionary. Bitcoin in 150 years will be regarded as one of humanity's most important inventions. So the next point, Bitcoin has the ability to be self-custodial. It's arguably its most revolutionary feature. Self-custody means you personally possess the Bitcoin. You have direct control over your Bitcoin, as opposed to a third party, like a bank or government that possesses your funds. So here's a simple example. Let's say you have $10,000 cash and you want to store it in the bank. You open up a bank account and you give them your $10,000. Now, at this point, they are in custody of your money. They control that $10,000. Now, obviously, they are obligated to give it back to you when you ask. They give you an IOU on your money, a claim on your money, but they can freeze your account, limit withdrawals, close the account, comply with court orders, or even go bankrupt. Now, I am in no way trying to say banks are bad and corrupt. Banks are definitely important and we should still utilize them. However, I am trying to illustrate the concept of owning your money, fully self-custodying your money versus giving it to a third-party custodian. For example, If you took that same $10,000 cash and stored it under your mattress, that would be a self-custody of your $10,000 cash. Now, I am in no way recommending you do that. It is just for sake of analogy, and most likely that $10,000 cash will be less safe under your mattress than at a bank. So you definitely should not do that. It is just sake of analogy. Someone might steal it, or your house might catch on fire. So that is not financial advice right there. But the point is this: self-custody means you are solely responsible and in control of your money. It is true ownership. And so Bitcoin works the same way. You can choose to self-custody or have a third party custody it for you. There is no right or wrong answer. It depends person to person, but Bitcoin is designed to be self-custodied. And so how does one self-custody Bitcoin? It comes down to two main options on a technical standpoint: a software wallet or a hardware wallet. And so a software or hot wallet stores your Bitcoin on a software that is connected to the internet. It's usually an app on your phone or browser. It's best for frequent transactions. It's pretty easy to send and receive Bitcoin this way. But the downside is that it's more susceptible to being hacked and stolen since it is connected to the internet. So it's not advised to hold large amounts of Bitcoin in a software wallet. A hardware wallet, or cold wallet, on the other hand, stores your Bitcoin on a physical hardware device that is not connected to the internet. Think of like a USB flash drive. Your Bitcoin never touches the internet. It is best for long-term storage, and if set up correctly and carefully, it is extremely strong against hacks and theft. Emphasis on being set up correctly and carefully. Because if you lose the keys to your cold wallet, your Bitcoin is gone. It will be stolen. So hardware wallets certainly have a learning curve. They require a great amount of research, but logically speaking, it is the most secure way of storing Bitcoin. One thing to note on the side, although this video is not focused on the technicalities of Bitcoin, it's important to note that Bitcoin doesn't actually live inside a software/hardware wallet. What is inside that wallet, that flash drive, are the keys to spend the Bitcoin, the ability to transact the Bitcoin. Therefore, whoever holds those keys, whether it's in a wallet, a software wallet, or a hardware wallet, whatever wallet holds the keys controls the Bitcoin, because you can spend the Bitcoin. And the Bitcoin network is essentially an ironclad record book of these transactions. But I digress. So that is Bitcoin self-custody. But Bitcoin, third-party Bitcoin custodians exist as well. Third parties such as Venmo, River, Cash App are legitimate third-party custodians. You're able to purchase Bitcoin via their exchanges, and they will custody it for you. Furthermore, you can actually send your Bitcoin from these third-party custodians to your self-custody wallet. It's actually a pretty good way to buy Bitcoin when you're first starting off. And so, accumulate and then send to your hardware wallet. This is how many Bitcoiners accumulate their Bitcoin. So self-custody Bitcoin is designed to be accessible from anywhere in the world. With a smartphone, laptop, and internet connection, you can send or receive Bitcoin globally 24/7 within minutes. Self-custody Bitcoin is designed to be censorship resistant. It's extremely difficult for governments or companies to stop a valid Bitcoin transaction. Bitcoin is a decentralized network, and once a transaction is broadcasted to this network, it's almost impossible to stop. All Bitcoin transactions are consistent, regardless of location or distance. Sending Bitcoin from New York City to Tokyo takes the same amount of time and cost as sending Bitcoin to your next door neighbor. Bitcoin knows no borders. So Bitcoin is an amazing invention, one of humanity's greatest inventions. Keep in mind, the internet has only existed for 50 years. In the grand scheme of history, the digital world is still in its infant stages. Bitcoin is the first money to fully harmonize with the internet and the digital era. Our infrastructure around Bitcoin is still evolving. We're still learning, but one thing is for sure. Gold and paper money are outdated and archaic. Gold and paper money are not designed to be transacted in the digital world. Bitcoin is. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment. I'll try to respond to everyone. Thanks.